Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode here of Cookies Enabled. I am Will, your host, and today we are going to be officially reviewing the Telly TV. So stick around and let's learn something new together. Okay, before we get into the review, let's see how you guys can get your Telly TV yourself. First, you're going to go right to your website, either on your phone or on a computer or desktop, whatever you guys have. You're going to type in www.telly.com. That's TELLY.com. And that should bring you to a website that looks something like this. And when you guys get there, this website will, again, tell you this is a Genius Television, and it kind of explains a little bit more about the TV. If you want to watch the video on the Learn More, that's not a bad place to start. But here you're going to just put your first name, your last name, your phone number, and your email address, and click to opt in to receive text messages, and voila, you're all done to reserve your telly. There is a little bit more to it than that. You will have to answer a few questions and install an app on your phone, but other than that, everything is free. You will not have to spend any money, just a little bit of your time, and answer a few questions, and lo and behold, your Telly TV will be in your living room before you know it. So that's how you get signed up with your own telly and how you do it. It is really, really straightforward, really not that hard, and I'm pretty sure everybody watching this can easily figure this out. Again, one thing I pointed out in the first video is if you do go to this website to sign up and you want to create your own email for this account, you can totally do that, but make sure it's linked to your phone number that you're going to put on that account as well, because when you install the app, it links all of that together, so you're going to need to make sure that is the case. I also have a share code for you guys. I know I said I'd have this for you guys last time. It is EW, and again, I can like barely see it because it is so stinking tiny on my screen here, but it is EWLFQ. At least I think that's an L. It could be an I, but I'm pretty sure it's an L. So EWLFQ or IFQ. Okay, we're going to break down our pros and cons here and really try to dissect this television, because this was a tough one to determine a full scale of rating out of 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. I really tried to be as open-minded as I possibly could here. So I did do a pro-con list, and here are the pros. The very first thing is this thing is super loud. That 6-speaker sound bar is unbelievable, and when you turn the surround sound option on, it really does seem to make a little bit of a difference. I think it's using sound refraction to bounce sounds off walls and things, but wow, I mean, it is amazing that how just incredibly loud that TV is, and you're probably going to be turning it down more than you're going to be turning it up. Now, number 2 is the backlight that is built in, and this thing is not just controllable, but it's again the full color spectrum from white, red, green, blue. You can pretty much do it all. I love that. I love that it's built in, and I don't have to go get those stupid sticky pads and put them on the back of my television. It's such a pain, and they usually fall apart. So yeah, so lucky that they had that built in. Well done, Telly. Number 3 here we have is it's very, very fast. There's no laggy between like booting and getting into an app or jumping even between apps. I mean, just installing them, booting them up, getting it all going, it was extremely fast. I felt like I was just flying through installation processes. So again, I don't know what processor they put in this thing, but it is not slow. It is definitely snappy. It's pretty stinking quick. Okay, number 4, easy to use remote. And not all of the buttons, or there's not a ton of buttons, and they all make sense. The few buttons that they do have on there, you're actually going to use. I feel like the only one on there that I haven't used really much at all is the A button, which I don't know what it does actually, now that I think about it. But the B button, when you hit that one, it'll usually bring you right to a Telly website that you can actually like get feedback or ask a support question or whatnot. So that is kind of helpful that it just immediately jumps you to a help screen just in case you get confused or you need some help. So again, all the buttons on the remote, really easy to understand, not a ton of buttons, and there isn't a lack of buttons either. So I think that was a good in between. Okay, so let's see. Number 5 here is easy learning curve overall. It took less than an hour to install all my apps and get everything updated and ready to go, and all logged into all those apps too, because you have to do that through your phone or through a computer or whatever, and that takes some time. Luckily, Google kind of speeds this up for you, as you are going through the process of setting things up, it'll ask you to set up your Google dongle. And once you do that, Google remembers a bunch of your passwords. So as you're logging into like Netflix and HBO Max, it'll start recalling those. And that is really helpful. So again, I want to say within about 45 minutes, I had all my apps installed and I was watching stuff and getting used to using the television very easily. So learning curve, I'd give this a very, very good learning curve. Most people can figure this out without having to call somebody or ask for help. So number 6 here, we have plenty of ports on this television. Wow, some TVs you buy these days have maybe like one HDMI port if you're lucky, maybe an Ethernet, and maybe a sound in or out or something, or a power plug, and that's kind of it. So you're usually getting real base ports and plugs, but let me just list what you have here with this TV. You have 3 HDMI ports on the back. One of them is that eARC one. I know I mentioned that in one of the videos. There's one antenna/cable input. There's one USB-A port on the back and a USB-C port on the back, along with all the other ones. And then you have the digital audio output, which is the optical out. And then you have an analog out as well for like a subwoofer or something if you wanted to plug that in. And then I also found a spare USB-C port on the top back of the television, right on the back side of the microphones. There just happens to be a random USB-C port there for some reason. I have absolutely no idea why it is there, but it does say 5 volt on it, so you can easily charge like a phone or something off of that, or I think it's for plugging in another camera or something if you wanted to, but I'm not really sure why that's there. And there's no clips or anything, like there's no void for clips, like for you to plug in a camera. So again, I don't really know why that was there. I think the engineers forgot they put that there, and anyway, so if you need a port, there's one there. And the last one I have on the pro list is that overall picture quality is amazing for an LCD screen. If for the first almost hour and a half, I didn't even realize I was using an LCD screen. It wasn't until I started trying to like refine the picture and get my darks darker and my brights brighter that I realized this isn't an LED screen, this is an LCD screen, and that explains why I'm getting that kind of half washed out kind of color look no matter what I do to my backlight or my brightness and whatnot. So again, I thought overall and compared to my LG, it is a tough call. I mean, it's almost just a bigger screen and it just looks prettier. It's brighter colors. So if you're into that stuff, this is going to be the screen for you for sure. Okay, I found 2 more pros about this television that I really, really like. One is that the microphones work really particularly well. In fact, they almost work too well. In some cases, my opponents or whoever I was calling on the other side were telling me that my sound pitch was almost crunching a little bit as I was hitting those higher notes in my voice. It would kind of static out on their end a little bit. But the room that I have the telly in is also quite echoey. So if the room has too much audio gain, this could be a problem for you. But I also liked the fact that I literally could just be sitting 10 to 15 feet from my TV, maybe even more, and talking at a normal voice like the person sitting right next to me, and they're totally able to hear me 100%. These microphones are really good. I think there's 4 of them. The downside is they don't really give you a way to control those microphones at all, and I'll talk about that more in the con list. So number 9 and the final pro to this amazing television is that the camera quality is actually pretty stinking decent. Not only is it amazingly decent, but it has a built-in shutter where the entire camera rotates around completely out of view. So it actually rotates into the TV itself. And that is really super cool to watch and see, but it's actually a really handy security feature because it guarantees that you're not being filmed when you don't want to be and when you're not trying to access the camera, unlike your phone camera and stuff that's always looking at you. This one gives you a little bit of an option there. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I was really giving them a 2 thumbs up on that because to think that far ahead and to implement such good quality camera is actually really impressive. So not a bad TV overall. Now, for some of those cons though, holy moly, the list isn't necessarily short though either. Let's see. So you got no way to rearrange any of the icons on the bottom screen. This sounds like it would be an annoying like little pesky thing, but like let's say again you're just trying to get to like your over the air antenna TV, you've got to go through the sub menu, the bottom screen, then you got to go to watch, then you've got to go to that sub menu and scroll all the way over to just see TV tuner. And there's no way to move the TV tuner icon over all the way to the front of that list. So that way it's just the very first thing you click on. Like, again, there's no way to set certain things to default in this television, and there's no way to set an icon in certain areas. Now, in the Google dongle that they give you that attaches to your TV, that the little 4K Google Chromecast, that lets you rearrange the icons. But this one, the Telly TV, at least on that bottom screen, it does not give you the option to rearrange any of those icons. And that is a little bit of an annoyance because they'd be really easy to implement, and it would make it a lot more user friendly to be able to, you know, rearrange those how I please. Okay, so the second thing that really bothers me about this television so stupid much is the fact that they did not build the Chromecast into the television, so you lose an HDMI port just by plugging that in. Now, again, I understand money-wise why they didn't build it into the TV. Some people don't need that Google Chromecast. Some people have their own home theater systems and cable boxes and whatever. So I get that, but why wasn't that an option? I mean, it is, but why wasn't it an option to have it built into the television versus having to lose a whole port on the back of the TV? Kind of seems a little ridiculous. But I mean, at least they gave you two other ports, so I think that's where I kind of say, you know what, you're good. Because technically, with the Google Chromecast plugged in and my Xbox plugged in, I still have one USB port left. So I don't need a switcher or anything yet. But if I had like a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X or something, now I'd be like, oh shoot, I have to like swap cables or something. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is I really feel that they could have done a better option there to either give me the option to have it built into the TV or as a spare Chromecast device or something. So, you know. Okay, so the third reason why this TV bothered me a little bit, or I feel like I should knock off some points, is because the TV does not default to antenna or to your cable box, even if you have one plugged in and they're working. And I don't know why. This is like a whole extra step of like having to dig around the menus just to get to your, you know, antenna or cable box or something. And I think this is also kind of relates to the first con that I listed, which is I can't rearrange any of my icons either. So these kind of relate because I can't move my icons around and I want my TV to default to anything like antenna or my cable box and it won't. I have to dig through menus that take even longer because I can't customize them just to get to that thing. So it's super irritating to me that give me either the option to move icons around or allow me to have certain modes defaulted, so when I turn the TV on, it's always going to the antenna first and always going to this second and then this third and blah blah blah. My LG TV did give me that option. It used to always boot to a dashboard, and then they did a couple of updates, and then suddenly now you could change it to what you wanted it to boot to. Do you want it to boot to the antenna? Do you want it to boot to your cable box, to Netflix, to YouTube, whatever? You could have it boot to certain things, and it would just do that. So again, Telly needs to work on that. I really feel like that was a downfall that, again, most people are going to have either antenna TV or cable TV plugged in. And to not have that defaulted, and I have to dig through menus to get to my cable box, oh my gosh, that's annoying. Okay, huge annoyance. Okay, third thing is that it's, again, this is an LCD screen and not an LED or OLED or micro LED screen. These are all technology. LCD has been around since I was like wee little boy. It is nothing new. It has gotten so much better than when I was a kid. And this is a great example of how close it is to an LED screen. You almost can't tell the difference unless you're somebody like me and you know the difference. It is blatantly obvious when you look at the screens which one is better and which one isn't. And so, again, I know this is the first run for Telly. This is all new for Telly. I'm really hoping their next brand or their next version of this television will be an LED screen or an OLED screen to really help bring out those colors, the brightness, and the longevity of the television. Because because LCD has a good chance of burn-in and just dark spots and fading over time. So that's a huge issue. So again, I think that was a money-saving things on their behalf. It's way cheaper to do LCD these days, but I think they should have bit the bullet there and just stuck with LED. It would have been a better option. One of the last things I have here is kind of a minor one, but again, it comes with two remotes. You get a remote for the Telly TV and you get a remote for the Google Chromecast TV. What's really even more annoying is that you can use one or the other continuously, verbatim of what you're doing. Technically, you can't use the Chromecast remote on the bottom screen. So I will let you know if you want to like change a setting or click on the weather or do something on that bottom screen, you'll always need the Telly TV remote to do that. So it's critical you don't lose your Telly TV remote. I was also surprised that they did not give you some kind of remote access to the TV through the Telly app, because the app syncs with the TV and you can kind of control the widgets and stuff through the TV and through the app. So why not let me just like control volume and channel and stuff through the app? LG lets you do this. Samsung lets you do this. Okay, there's also a couple more cons that I also found in the few days that I've used it as well. So one of the cons that I can't stand a lot is you can't shut off that second screen or even pause that second screen while gaming. And that doesn't seem like a huge deal, but when you are playing like a first-person shooter, when you are trying to focus on faces on a screen, and then there's random faces popping up on the bottom screen, wow, that is a huge distraction. And it is, I wish you could at least pause it so it wasn't doing live ads while you're playing games. So it's just bouncing text around. Really would be cool, but it does not do that, unfortunately. So that's one. Another one here is that you can't turn down the mic volume at all. So the microphone volumes, there's 4 microphones. They're all on the top of the TV, and they actually do a fantastic job. But they are so hot that if you talk too loud at all, or you have a very boisterous voice, it will echo and reverb into these microphones, and there's no settings anywhere in the TV to turn down the gain or adjust the volume automatically, or even just turn it to stereo microphones rather than quad microphones. Might help, because again, you're not putting this TV in the center of the room. It's usually against a wall or something. So I thought it was a little weird to cram so many microphones right next to a surface. It's just going to be bouncing sound off of it. So maybe Telly needs to work on that. Maybe that's a setting coming down the road they will give us, but there was no settings in the TV that allow you to adjust the microphone gain. So you might just have to stand a little bit further back or just talk a little quieter into the TV, and the people should not have a problem, hopefully, not have too much static on their end. So now I have 3 more, and these are specific to comparing to my LG television, and not just by the Telly themselves. And other TVs have some of these features I'm going to list here, not just LG, like Samsung. So the last 3 is there's no quick jump button. And I know that sounds kind of strange, but with my LG, all you have to do is like hold the number 2 button down on the remote, and then it just jumps from whatever you're doing to that other app. So there is a hot swap button for like Netflix and YouTube on the Google remote that they gave you, and that does kind of hot wire the TV and override whatever program you hit. But there's only 2 options there, so again, a little bit of a downside there. The second from the last thing I got for you is that you can't send things to the TV without that stupid Google dongle being plugged in. This is not a smart TV. Again, like my LG, you can just pull out your Samsung phone and scan the area for other smart devices, and it'll find the TV, and you can just send things to your TV very easily. And again, they're not even the same brand, so that's a little daunting that you will have to use an app or some kind of program built into this television, usually through Google, to find the Telly TV through your phone. So it's not as user friendly there. If you're just trying to send pictures and stuff to the screen, that can be a little bit of a trick compared to my LG or a Samsung television. So that might change in the future. Telly could very much fix this stuff with software updates. And the last thing I have is that my LG had some tricks that I honestly did not expect, like the ability to export all the audio to a Bluetooth device somewhere in my room, like a Bluetooth surround sound system. And the Telly TV does support surround sound, but only through fiber optic cable. There's no other way, or HDMI. You do not get the ability to do the surround sound with Bluetooth or any other option through Wi-Fi either, which I thought that was really strange because the LGs and Samsung TVs have been doing this for a really long time. This is not a new feature. It's been like 5-10 years down the road. So for them to just dump all of that onto that Google dongle is a bit extreme. And in fact, my LG even lets me send audio from the TV to my phone, so I can listen to whatever's on the TV without disrupting the room. Maybe somebody got a phone call, but I don't want to pause the movie. I can still listen on my phone while, they're paused and listening to or talking to somebody on their phone or whatever in the same room. So that was a cool feature. None of those features are included in your Telly. Maybe these features will come in the future, but they're not here now. And compared to my LG, something that I paid for, I'm glad that it has some bells and whistles that the Telly doesn't. But again, there are 2 bonus features that the Telly has that my LG doesn't have. So stick around at the end of the video to learn those. So again, I know Telly is new and I'm knocking them on some things that I feel like they should have had out of the gate. But because they are such a new company, I am not totally knocking off 5 stars or anything. Heck no. I still think overall this is an amazing deal. It is thousands of dollars worth of equipment sitting in my living room right now, and I am just thankful that I even get a chance to try it out. And they were super great about the whole exchange and return policies, which is why you're not hearing anything about it on the con list here either. So again, if that points you to how their customer service is and how they handle themselves as a company, that should kind of overall, I'm assuming, get better over time. Hopefully. Fingers crossed there. So hopefully this pro con list helped you guys. If you have any other pros and cons about these TVs that you want to add to the list, throw them in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Okay, just going to show you a little bit more of the TV here. So here we are on the Telly home screen. This is pretty much what it looks like when you turn it on. There's usually an advertisement in that top screen, but now there's not. So I'm going to jump down to the bottom screen here, and we are going to jump over to inputs, and I'm going to jump into input 1. This is the Google Stream box that it comes with. Here we go. So this is what it looks like when you go to the home screen of the Google Sling dongle that they gave you. And this has all the main apps that you're going to use, like your Netflix, your Hulu, MGM, Stars, all that stuff. All of those are going to be in this app. They're not actually part of the TV. So the TV is not a smart TV if you're... Okay, so I wanted to showcase the bottom of the screen a little bit more and a little bit more of the features that it has. So as it's just randomly, I'm playing a YouTube video up top. Again, all I'm going to take is my remote and hit this bottom key button here. Now I'm controlling the bottom screen. And as you can see, it's got a news article about Kenya sends another 200 police somewhere. Oh, now South Korea, court extends President Yoon's detention. So I can click on this and it opens up that bottom screen. So it says news, general, entertainment, and business, and you can kind of flip through here while that upper screen is doing stuff, and you can kind of scroll through and read part of the headline as well as part of the story. And if you can actually click on this, and then it'll jump to the top screen and kind of take over whatever you're doing up there. And I thought this was really nifty that you could jump in here. You can go to entertainment, see what's going on. Kate Winslet opens up about her fear of cows, apparently, is the first article. So just really weird, funny things, but you don't have to jump to a different app or anything just to get this information. This updates regularly too, which I thought was pretty cool. And they're pretty legitimate sources. They're sources that you will pick from your lists. Like I already chose like the Washington Post, LA Times, stuff like that. So that's what the sources, Reuters, different things are popping up here. And these are the different sources that I told them I want to see. Now, again, that's just the news section. Right next to it, I have stocks. You can also do sports, weather, and other things. I turned off the sports feature because I don't really care that much about sports, believe it or not. Sorry, you can beat me up in the comments about that. I care more about the stocks and the business ends of the side of the United States and what's going on. It'll always tell you your sunrise, sunset, and your weather, which I thought was really, really cool. There's a bigger breakdown in the menu, which is really, really helpful. It tells you your humidity, it breaks it down by the hour, wind as well, weekly forecast, and your hourly forecast. And these are actually pretty accurate. It's been a little off. Like I think it shows rain or something right now, and it's not doing anything outside. It's actually pretty clear. So it's not 100%. I don't know where it's getting that forecast from, but the temperature seems to be accurate, and so is the time and date, obviously, so that's really helpful. And the news articles are definitely up to date, as well as just being able to check those stocks, which again, you can set all that stuff from the widgets in the phone, which is pretty cool. So here we are just on the regular Telly home screen. If I want to switch to something closer to the bottom of the screen, I actually have to use the bottom of the screen to get to my other options. As you can see, it says home feed, for you, is this the fight card of the year? And then it has inputs, watch, music, game room, video calling, fitness, and settings. So you can get to settings one other way on the remote as well. But really, your inputs and the for you are where you're going to be at the majority of the time. Watch is a really good way to jump to different links without having to get to the input section. So you don't always have to go to input to essentially get to the other screen. Everything information-wise is going to pop up on that bottom screen. So that is really, really super helpful. Is that it just keeps a lot of the information on that lower screen for you. But let's say we wanted to jump to live TV, you'd think you'd go to inputs, right? And then you'd see you have your 3 HDMIs. There's nothing in here about an antenna, even though I have one plugged in. You actually have to go to watch and then scroll down and go over a bunch until you see TV tuner. This is your antenna TV. So when you select that, obviously you can tell it's popping up Bernie Mac on Bounce TV for me. So it is working. It is functional, but it takes getting used to. Just like every TV you will buy, this one is pretty much the same way. The coolest part about it is that on the remote itself, there are these two lights. So you have this light here and this light here. These two lights control what screen you're looking at. So if I want to control the top screen, I push this button. If I want to control the bottom screen, I hit this button and that one lights up. So now I'm controlling the bottom screen and I'm moving things around on that screen. And if I want to go to the top screen again, I click this button and now I can move around on the top screen and get information about that or change the channel. Oops, I didn't hit the right button. There we go. So now I can change the channel if I want to go to Ion Plus or something. So this is really an intuitive way to jump between the two screens without having to add a whole extra wheel on here. Is super, super helpful. And I thought that was really clever. It is actually really intuitive to use this remote. And yes, it does have a microphone built into it. You can push this button here on the remote, this little red button. And this little red button has like a little kind of a telly rectangle on it. And if you push this and hold it, you can talk into the remote and say, "What is my weather tomorrow?" And it will actually read this out loud. I have it muted right now, but she's probably saying in a very robotic voice that it's going to be 16 degrees tomorrow and a low of 5 and blah, 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 blah. So it is really super helpful. You can even ask her for like recommendations on where to eat or where to go or what to do or what to watch. So that is super helpful. Again, I really like being able to use that bottom screen to move around. If I want to just jump right into Disney, I can. It'll just pull right up. It switches HDMI imports and then it'll boot up the Disney Plus app for me instantly. So this is really, really helpful and it really makes navigating the TV much faster. Pardon me. So let's say I didn't want this and I wanted to go to YouTube instead. Again, all I have to do is switch down to that bottom TV, go over to watch, and then scroll over to YouTube. Should be in this list somewhere. Here we go. And voila, now I'm jumping right back to YouTube. So now here's my YouTube account. I can scroll through here and see what's going on. Again, I jump down to that bottom screen again. And let's say I want to jump to HBO Max. and want something on there, we can totally do that, no problemo. It'll jump right over and start loading this app up for me. And again, super duper helpful. I absolutely love this feature. The TV is extremely responsive and fast. As you can tell, it is not laggy at all. It's hanging in there with me. It's doing a great job. And I'm really, really happy about that, because you never know what you're going to get with some of these televisions. Okay, so here's the gaming section and what gaming looks like on the Telly television. I plugged in my Xbox One and booted up some Forza 4, and honestly, not so bad. I thought it was a little bit of a motion blur going on here, but it could have been way worse, and maybe just a tad a bit artifacting in the corners. But even at high motions, high speeds, I'm like flying through some of these places. It's really not too bad. It's about the same as about what my LG would do. Now, some of the colors seem a little washed out. And again, some of those darks aren't very darks. They're, and some of the lights are almost too bright. So you get kind of this weird mishmash of color schemes. Now, in the next game here, it won't look as bad. But in Forza, you can definitely tell that the colors just aren't 100% right. And some areas seem almost washed out by light, and other areas don't seem like there's enough light, which you won't really see too much in this video, but I'll show in other videos. When I compare it to the LG screen, you'll see. But here, I thought it handled gaming and the refresh rate particularly well. I really wanted to show Call of Duty, but I don't want to get banned by showing blood or guns, so I'm not going to show any of those things. This is literally what driving is, and obviously I'm driving very recklessly on purpose to try to kind of push the frame rate of the screen to see if it can keep up with all the things going on, and it did not seem to have much of an issue. Now, I'm filming this with my phone a few feet away, and I stretched the image up, so I'm not sure how it looks for you guys, but this was filmed at 60 frames a second on my phone, and we're about to change games here in just a second. I was trying to just get to the countryside to show a little bit more color, and then I'll jump over to a different game here. Now, the next game I think was a Crash Bandicoot remaster for the Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and whatnot. This, again, looks really super good. I thought the colors actually looked better in this game than they did on my LG screen. And again, it's hard to tell the difference. There's really not much of a difference between this screen and my other screens. It's really hard to tell. If you're going to be gaming on this, you might notice the difference, especially with first-person shooters. That second screen becomes a problem because there's always faces and stuff popping up on that screen. So that can be an issue, but other than that, again, it's really a great setup, and it does work for games, especially just for basic stuff in your living room. So definitely not a terrible idea, and there are more games built in that I'll be talking about here in just a minute. Now, the TV itself does have built-in games, and I'm going to show you how to get to them. So if you go down to your bottom screen here and scroll over to Game Room, you'll see it has two options here. One that says Remote Control Games, and then one that says Motion Control Games. And you're probably wondering, what the heck is a motion control game and how does that work with the TV? I'm going to explain that to you, but we're going to start with the remote control ones here really quick so you guys can kind of see what those are. So it gives you a bunch of options. These are built right into the TV. I did not have to download these or install these. These just came pre-installed, ready to go. So you got Asteroids by Atari. You get Breakout, Centipede, Chess, Crossy Road, Deal or No Deal, Flappy Bird, Free Games, which is kind of like a general free game thing, website kind of thing. Get the Ball, which I have not tried that one. 1 vs. 100. Paint the Road, or it says Fast and Furious, and Rumikib, I don't know what that one is, and Tetris, World Poker Tour, or WPT, and Wheel of Fortune. Now, I haven't tried most of these. I did try Tetris. That was actually a lot of fun, and again, you're just using like the D-pad on the remote to move your pieces around and drop them into place. It has the same sounds and everything, but let's try Breakout. I used to love this game, and I have not played it on here yet, so we're going to give this a try. I'm going to try to kind of show you what this looks like. So as you see, you select the game on the bottom screen, and it instantly pops up on the top screen, and then your bottom screen just goes right back to old school information and weather and whatnot. So I'm going to turn this volume up a little bit. There we go. So we do have some sound. Oh yeah, old breakout music. Okay, so we're gonna hit start, press any key. So should just be going left and right. Okay, yeah, I am. Nice. Okay, so again, just using the D-pad here to just go left and right and bounce this guy all around my screen here. Whoop. Oh, almost lost him. It is a little tricky to get this. If you hold the button down, it like kind of zooms across the screen. And that is what it used to do on the arcade version too. But yeah, this is very reminiscent of old school video game days. And a lot of old school gamers that are getting these TVs will probably find these hidden games in here and just fall in love, because this is a lot of fun. It even kind of sounds like it has like the arcade music and everything going. So I love that. I think that is so clever. Oh man, I almost lost it. I switched screens for a second there. Now I'm using my phone to see what I'm doing. So again, a lot of information is popping up on that bottom screen constantly, and it can get kind of irritating, and there is no way to turn it off when the TV is on. You cannot silence that bottom screen. It'll always have an advertisement on it. And again, this is one reason why the TV is free. Oh shoot, oh wow, I just lost a lot. That's okay, I'm gonna lose again. Okay, game over. High score. Oh geez, it was only 81. Do I really even want to put a high score in here? Let's do, oh, well, there we go, that's done. We're gonna exit. Yes, I want to leave the game. So if you exit the game, it should just bring you right back to the Telly home screen. And it should just kind of sit there and wait for you to pick another app or another game or something to do. Next, I'm gonna show you the motion controlled games. And for that, again, we're just gonna go back down here to the second screen. We're gonna go over to that game room, and this time we're gonna say motion controlled games. And it's gonna bring up this active arcade option. Sorry, I just realized you guys kind of can't see what I'm doing. The active arcade option, I'm going to hit that button. And then this is going to bring up a whole new screen up here. Now I'm going to move the camera backwards so you guys can see. So as you can see, you got all these awesome options to choose from. You got whack-a-mole and bunny hop, galaxy jumpers, laser dodges. There's a bunch of different ones. What this is going to do, it's an old school idea that they had with like the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox 360. Is essentially it's going to use the camera built into the television to map you out and play the game. So we're going to do whack-a-mole because I've tried this one already and it is pretty fun. It is a multiplayer game as well, so you can do 2 people at the same time. I obviously only have 1 player, so we're just going to select the one, and then it will open the camera on the bottom of the TV for me, and then it will try to find me. There we go. Okay, here we go. Again, there we are. I'm not sure where the sound is. As you can see, it's not the best. You know, I can't get that one far to the right for some reason. This is pretty much how it was with those games back in the day too. They were really bad at room, figuring out how big the room is and stuff. Yeah, I just almost died. That was bad. So again, I'm just kind of moving around and waving my arms around, not really doing anything fancy or hard. Give me that heart. But it is really, really good at hand tracking, I gotta say. No matter what I'm doing with my hands, it always seems to know where they are. And that is the most impressive part. So it is really, really good at the hand tracking. It always knows where your hands are at all times. And as soon as the game is done, it puts the camera away. It does not leave the camera out. It always puts that camera away, and I love that feature about this TV. So that's pretty much the gaming section of this television, that what's built in and how you can use it for gaming. Would I buy this for a game to be my gaming screen? Absolutely not. No, I would not. But to have in my living room as a primary TV screen to play games on and use as a family-oriented screen, absolutely, this checks out. So I took the audio off of our video calls here, but I did do 2 video calls from the television. I was not able to use the Google Meet feature that is built into the Chromecast that comes with the television. It was not able to detect either the camera or the microphones built into the screen, which isn't a huge surprise, but it's a little annoying that they included that feature and it didn't work. Now, this is a Zoom call I did with my editor, Andrew. For those of you that have watched the channel will see, hey, this guy looks familiar. That's Andrew. He's using his iPhone, I think 13 Pro, to call me on a Zoom call. Now, he did have to install an app, but everything was free. I did not have to pay anything. I started the meeting on my side, and it generated the numbers that I gave to Andrew to join the call. So I cut all that stuff out just for security purposes. But he claimed that the microphones were too hot. Again, I talk about this in the con list, that they were too much audio gain, and it was a little crunchy sounding on the higher end of the spectrum. Now we're about to change to my sister. My sister decided to do another call with me from her computer. So she has a much higher resolution camera here, and I am telling her that not only does she sound better, but she looks better. The quality of the picture is much better. If it's not 1080p, it's got to be at least 720 because it's so much crystal clear compared to my friend or my editor Andrew on his iPhone. So the iPhone isn't bad. It's just that those phone call quality video calls aren't very good compared to like a PC with a dedicated webcam. So for her, things worked out really good. My parents did randomly swing by and pop into the video here, so you might see my mother walk into the call. And she didn't even know she was on a video call with me through the TV. She was kind of figuring it out. So again, I thought this was really cool that in the bottom on that second screen, you can see it shows my image, my live feed to Carrie. So whatever the camera's picking up, it's showing on that bottom screen. Now, I know I mentioned this is a Zoom program, but there is no filters for the background. There are no filters for your face. There's only a mute for the camera and a mute for the microphone. And then you can join calls, leave calls. But that is literally it. It's a really bare bone package of Zoom. They've really scaled it down a lot. And I think, again, this is just supposed to be for like families. You know, maybe there's a dad out there or a mom out there that's always working and they just want to like Zoom call home and see the kids. This is perfect. This would work great. You could jump right into the living room and be part of the family all again. So that's exactly what this is for. This is not for like interviews or anything, but it's a pretty decent camera and the audio quality is pretty good. I just wish they gave you more settings there. Okay, here I have two different videos. The right side of the screen, you'll have the LG OLED screen. Both 4K HDR, same as the Telly. The Telly is LCD with LED backlight. So it's similar, but not really the same. And as you can see here on the right side, the screen looks a little darker overall, and that's just because that's just how that tint is when I'm trying to film it. But I really feel like my LG has a better true color perspective versus the Telly, which is just screaming colors at you against that super dark black. Now this video does a better representation, I feel like, of how the colors are warmer and more fluid on the LG, which is on the right side, versus the Telly. Again, in person you can see it almost immediately, but it is really hard to film and really showcase exactly what's going on there. But this video did a pretty good job kind of really what I've been trying to describe is that all the colors that are coming from the Telly are almost too bright and overwhelmingly kind of take over the screen. And unlike my OLED screen on the LG side on the right, it's a lot more uniform. So yes, you know, you do have your bright brights and your dark darks, but it's not screaming at me in between. There's also a little bit of a stutter on the Telly, and it's a little more fluid on the LG. And again, I think that's just the LCD versus the LED side of things. And this is just Telly trying to save money overall, and makes total sense. And again, for your living room, this is perfect. You really don't need to worry about that. It is still 4K HDR, and they did a great job putting it together. And it holds its own next to this $500 43-inch LG OLED display. So again, you can see right here at the end that some of these colors are a little washed out on the Telly, but it is really almost hard to tell. And again, I think they aced it. Okay, so for the few of you that followed through my first video and you heard that I received a broken telly right off the bat, is why this is my review now. You'll probably wonder how I ended up getting a second TV and how all that went down. So what I ended up doing was I contacted Telly through their support email, and I pretty much let them know, listen, I received your telly. Everything went really good through the setup. I followed the directions exactly as I was supposed to in opening the box and setting it up. But when I plugged it in, I noticed the screen was heavily damaged. It had lines. It had bleeding factors. Blah 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 blah. And what do? I don't know how to fix this. Yada yada. So waited, and I want to say within about 36 hours, I did get a response back, and it said, "Thank you for reaching out to the Telly support team. We are so sorry to hear this. In order to process this request, please complete our returns and exchange request form by following the link below," which, of course, I clicked. And it said, "Once you've submitted this form, our team will review your request and get back to you with the next steps. If you have any questions or need further assistance, don't hesitate to let us know." So this is what happens if you get a telly in the mail and something doesn't look right. They'll send you to one of these links, and it'll say Telly returns and exchange terms. We're sorry to hear that you need a replacement and or a return. Please complete this form to start the process. And if we are exchanged Telly, you don't have the original box and you need packing material, blah, 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 blah. So I did need this. I said yes to both of these questions. I did need a replacement, and I did need to return my original telly because it's obviously busted in a million pieces. And when you go to this return option, it gives you tons of stuff. I'm moving and I can't take it with me, or my telly was damaged in my home. My telly was damaged during shipping when I opened it, which is what I selected. It was defective, not damaged. I almost thought about checking that one, but I wasn't really sure if this was, I really think it was damaged in transit. So it didn't fit in my house. That's a surprise. I thought I was going to have to click that one too, but luckily it does fit. Don't use it much any longer. Obviously, don't agree with the terms and conditions. My telly was never delivered. God, I hope that's not the case. And I gave my telly to someone else or other. So they gave you plenty of options here. There's even additional notes, which I did leave some additional notes. And then your first name, your last name, the telly address, and all that jazz that, you know, it needs, your telly account number or email that it's attached to, and your phone number. Then you submit that and you are all set. Then Telly will come back to you again within about 24 hours to say, hey, we've received this request and we are going to go ahead and get this processed. And thank you so much for your patience. And included in this email is a return label, FedEx return label for your telly. So when you're ready to ship it out, all I have to do is contact Telly, and then they'll send FedEx to come and pick up my broken telly from me. So that left me with a question that suddenly we were jumping to returning my TV, but I didn't know anything about getting my new one. So I did go onto the Telly app, and there is a place to chat with somebody, and I was able to chat with somebody on there, and I just asked them, listen, I got all this done, but when am I supposed to be getting my new TV, and how do I, what am I doing box-wise, So they immediately responded, I want to say within a few hours, and it was super simple. Essentially, within, again, 24 hours, I was going to get my new tracking code for my new Telly TV to replace my broken one. And then once I get that new Telly TV set up, all I had to do was put the broken one in that box and just ship it back to FedEx, put the new label on it and ship it out. Super, super simple. I was like, wow, that they really thought of pretty much everything except for the shipping through FedEx, I think is another mistake as well. But not a bad idea, and honestly, it did work. My second TV's here. I'm doing the review, as you can tell. So if you guys go through an issue like this, again, let me know if you guys had any problems with your Telly TV and you needed to exchange it or return it or whatever. I want to know how your process went as well, because mine was very successful and they were on point with everything. So, okay, so here's one of the bonus features. In the background here, I just have YouTube. But if you go to your settings button on the remote, which is this little guy here, and it'll pull up your settings menu, you can scroll down to this help and support section. In help and support, you'll find the second option here is Eco Power Mode. We're going to select that. So hit the button here to turn that on, and this whole other menu will come up. It does say, while in Eco Power Mode, turning your Telly TV off enters a special standby state, reducing power consumption. Note, restarting from standby mode takes around a minute, and additionally, voice and smart home devices device activations are unavailable in this mode. So what that necessarily means is you won't be able to use like your Google or Amazon Assistant to turn your TV on if it's in this mode, but you won't be using almost any power at all in this state, and it will take about a minute to turn your TV completely back on. Okay, now there's one other bonus feature I wanted to show you guys. This one is for the audio section. So it does have this built-in sound bar, and one thing I found while playing with the settings is there's an advanced night mode. So we're going to go to our settings button again on our button, or on our remote, sorry, and we're going to go down to the sound option on the TV screen here. And then under advanced options, it should have this nighttime audio level. And if you enable this, it turns off the subwoofer feature. So you will have a fraction, if not any bass. It will not be vibrating the house around you, but you'll still have your mids and highs, your tweets are all going to be in that perfect range still. So you just instantly lose that low, super low bass, and it pretty much turns the subwoofer off. But if you turn that off, it just turns the subwoofer back on. I wish you could put this on a timer, so like between 11 p.m. and like 6 a.m. it just automatically did that for you. Would be kind of cool. So maybe that feature will come in the future. But right now, I'm just happy they even give you this option. So what do we give our Telly TV overall, and what are my thoughts? So out of 5 stars, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst, like my other reviews, this Telly TV is going to get a 3.5 out of 5. So I'm going to put some claps up here. Well done to Telly TV for honestly reaching out and being better than I anticipated. Honestly, considering this is completely free, I spent 0 money shipping it to me or returning my broken TV or any of that stuff. That's amazing. Completely amazing. And that it stands next to my LG is also another thing. So there may be a better review later. Maybe it'll get more stars as I get more updates with the Telly TV. So keep coming back to my channel and checking to see if there are other Telly TV or Telly reviews, because there could be more in the future. But overall, there were actually more pros than cons, especially when you took away the contrast of my LG, my paid TV, essentially, the one that I paid for. If you don't compare it to a paid TV, oh my gosh, hands down, this is amazing. You have a really solid picture, really great dark colors, really dark blacks, and really vivid colors, almost overly vivid colors, especially for an LCD. This really kind of blew me away. It was a surprise to me that it was even LCD to begin with. And the best sound I've ever had from a TV ever, that I've ever owned. This even beat my Westinghouse, which literally was the loudest TV I've ever owned. This hands down beats that. So if you're looking for a better sounding television, this is definitely a good way to go. It's really decent for gaming. It really isn't bad. I did spend a little bit more time gaming on it, especially with Call of Duty, which I couldn't show on here, but it really doesn't do too bad. It really does keep up. Again, if you're just playing by yourself, and I didn't try any multiplayer games, I think that's when you're going to run into issues around the corners and the bezels of the screen where you had a lot of artifacting and stuff. So definitely decent for gaming, but not a go-to gaming monitor by any means. And I would say this is absolutely perfect for family rooms and or just busy areas. It almost kind of reminds me of like I'm in a cafe or a airport or something like that, a bus station, where there's always constant information on that second screen on the bottom, but then that main screen on the top has whatever program I'm wanting to watch on it. So I love the 2 screens. I love the ability of being able to jump between the 2, and the sound is amazing, and the picture keeps up with what's going on the screen, regardless if it's a really dark night, super bright day, lots of explosions. It's actually going to keep up with it. So again, well done to Telly. I'm definitely recommending this to friends and family. And again, if you want to know how to get your own, just scroll back to the beginning of the video and I go through how to sign up with Telly to get your own. So again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know I learned something new. I hope you guys did too. And let me know what you guys think in the comments about your Telly or just this idea altogether. But again, thank you all for tuning in, and I appreciate you guys. Have a great night. stupid Google Chrome dongle. Again, I don't know. Wait a minute. Sorry, guys.
Hello?
Oh, okay.
Hello?
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can't.
I can't.
No, you still can't hear me? No, you're good. I figured something like this would happen. This is why I wanted to test it. Hey! Can you see me? Hello! I don't know, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, I can see you. And actually the picture is getting better too as it like kind of loads up here, which is good. So I didn't know how it would
Good
look.
audio.
Good audio?
Really crunchy.
Or two, it, you know, somewhere in there, and let me start over again. Blah, blah, blah. This list as well. Actually, I'm going to start over again.